We have more information tonight about a family with a 9-month-old baby that was turned away from an emergency shelter. The family has a place to stay for the next 10 days and is being assisted by another organization. Anjanette Levy is here to tell us what she has learned today about what happened last night. Anjanette.
Well, Paula, Robert Clark and Jaquita Moore say they have been homeless since November with their 9-month-old. Moore is also 10 weeks pregnant with twins. We spoke with the executive director of that shelter that turned them away about exactly what happened.
Sunday night, Maslow's Army got a call about a family that needed help. Robert Clark and his fiancee, Jaquita Moore, were turned away from a shelter because they had a 9-month-old child.
Because they said there was drug addicts and basically it's a liability for their shelter.
Something that we've been used to. I mean, it's not like it's a new thing for us.
Moore and Clark went to the emergency shelter of Northern Kentucky in Covington because it was so cold. But the shelter only takes single men and women.
We tried to encourage them in other avenues and made phone calls to other agencies and resources to help them here at the shelter.
Executive Director Kim Webb says the shelter staff worked for over an hour to try to find a suitable facility that would take Moore, Clark, and their child. Right now, the shelter is packed 24 hours a day because of the cold, with people who need help, some sleeping on yoga mats. Webb says the situation with Moore and Clark points to a larger issue.
You know, 12 months out of the year in Northern Kentucky, there's really not emergency door-to-door sheltering for families.
And tell me about the family that's homeless right now.
At Bethany House in South Fairmount, Executive Director Susan Schiller says over the last month, she's seen a surge in the number of families coming to her shelter for help.
We really don't know why we have such a surge in homelessness this past winter, but the one thing that we can see is the horrible cold.
Schiller's had people sleeping on sofas and in the craft room in the basement, and she's put up a record number of people in hotels. She said they never turn any family away.
If we had heard from Northern Kentucky that there was a homeless family and they were on the streets, we would have brought them into our shelter. We've got a shelter staff that never says no, and they are always very creative in finding a place for them.
The staff at the emergency shelter of Northern Kentucky called the Central Access Point line to try to help Moore and Clark last night. It connects people with shelters. That number is 513-381-SAFE. But that number is only operated during business hours during the week and from 10 to 2 on weekends. So that's why they couldn't reach anyone last night. The director of the emergency shelter in Covington says she's discussed the lack of emergency shelters for families with leaders in Northern Kentucky. Paula.
Thank you, Anjanette. The Bethany House has staff working 24 hours a day. Families who need a place to stay can call them after hours. That number is 513-557-2873.